We are Ole Miss Rebels. As Mississippi's flagship university, we dig deeper, see farther, work harder. We pioneered human organ transplants. We helped prove Einstein's theory of gravitational waves. We are conducting life-changing research that solves the problems of today. We are Ole Miss, transforming lives and the world.
Hey, welcome to the POMcast with Stephen Willis. We're going to start in a few minutes, but I want to tell you to hit up our social sites, retweet, share, comment, like, do all of that stuff. It can only help us out and it'll make the show even better. But we're getting ready to give you a lot of good Ole Miss information, and I just thought I would tell you that because the POMcast is starting. Well, it's starting right now. Wait, no, that's a little early. It is starting right about now. Good morning. It's Friday. Thank God it's Friday, right? We're getting ready for the Tulane game tomorrow. Lots of stuff to get to. Jam-packed show today. First, I want to tell you about Travel and Cruise World. 1-800-330-7461. Again, that is Travel and Cruise World. 1-800-330-7461. What I wanted to do with these guys is to provide a resource for you because we've been in this pandemic for 18 months and all businesses have different rules. Everything's going on. These guys provide a resource for you on the ground. And best of all, they can get you the same rate that you would get through the parks and online, period. So why not get all of those benefits and have a resource on the ground that can tell you what's going on so your vacation's not ruined. So have a good time with that. 1-800-330-7461, travelandcruiseworld.com. Also want to tell you about Book a Tailgate. Book a Tailgate has single game and season packages all year long. They can take your tailgating stuff and store it, or you can rent tailgating stuff. You want a TV at your tent? No problem. If you need an extra tent because it's plus size, no problem. They can even go get your catering for your tailgate. That's Take It to the Grove, 662-701-1177 or bookatailgate.com. They'll be pretty glad that you called, and you'll be glad that you called them as well. So it's pretty good thing. Also, I want to tell you the official watch of the POMcast is La Terrain. La Terrain. And basically what you want, if you go pick out one of those nice jokers, put it on your wrist. Hey, what's going on? Whenever you go to check out, use promo code POMcast, and that'll let them know that you got the information from us, and that'll be really great. So thank you very much for that. Enjoy the watch when you do it, when you get it. They got a bunch of good stuff over there. Today on the show, we are going to talk a little bit about the announcement of the Manning Center renovation and how that would be a game changer for the program. The IPF, when it was built, was let's be real. It was a B-, B+ type facility. The thing that made it great is because of its location. It's right by the practice fields, right by the stadiums. There's no traveling required. But the actual amenities inside, it wasn't at the top end of the spectrum. It was, what can we get by with? This renovation alleviates that concern. We'll talk about that as well. But I want to tell you right now, if you want to watch the show, you can catch us on Twitter at @TheStephenWillis and at Ole Positively. Catch us on Facebook at facebook.com/POMcast. You can catch us on YouTube at Positively Ole Miss. Subscribe, hit the bell. You'll not only know that we're streaming, you'll know what we're streaming about. And, of course, we're on Twitch at Positively Ole Miss, all one word, all lowercase. Audio-wise, we're on Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, Pandora, Amazon Music, and Audible. If there's a podcatcher that we're not on that you want to go to, hit us up on Twitter. We'll figure out how to get the podcast posted there as well. So, just to let you know there. So, having a good time. So, that's a lot of so's in a row. The Manning Center renovation. So, they're going to extremely modernize what's going on. They're going to make the weight room bigger. They're going to beautify the area by where the coaches' offices are now. You're going to see a lot of re-architecturalizing, if that's even a real word, where the equipment room and the training room and the locker room is now. In the locker room, they're going to do a lot of work. You're going to see them with the super space age style lockers and things like that. And this is important. We've always said if you don't want to go to Ole Miss, don't visit. And that was even when the facilities as good but not great. And this will take that to great, to a next level. And let's just be real. We need to all participate in this because of who the man is in charge. We want to show the love. We want to show him we want him. We don't want to give him a reason to get a wandering eye. So, contributing to this plan will do a ton of work for that. Now, the first stage is obviously the Manning Center renovations. We're all for that. Then they're going to do some stuff around the stadium. There's going to do some beautifying there. I imagine there's going to do some west side or construction to look a little bit in that little plaza between it and the pavilion. I imagine they're going to do some east side stuff because the east side needs a lot of work. Let's just be real. And they're probably going to find a way to make the north end zone look a little better. Now, functionally, it's fine, but there might be a way for it to look a little bit better. They might find a way to put some suites on top. There's no telling what's going on, but there's some people that want the stadium to be completely symmetrical. I'm not necessarily that guy. I'm not going to fight that fight. I'm just not really feeling that, but you can do things on the exterior for the west end zone, because if you're coming into the west end zone, people going there all the time, they're not going to know what's going on the east side. So you have a little bit of time. It doesn't need to be symmetrical. It doesn't need to look right, but that has a chance to be a really cool plaza in between the pavilion and the west side. And I look forward to seeing how Ole Miss exactly does that. Now, back in the day, before the pavilion and the parking garage and all that, whenever I was there, back in the Stone Age, you could just walk along that side of the stadium. There's a set of steps there above the tunnel that the players come from the IPF to the field, and you could just walk around completely around the stadium. I don't think you can walk completely around the stadium. So I'm curious to see how they want to handle that, because if that's a dead end, that would be a problem for people. Because if you go to stadiums around the country, you'll see people that just go in and get lost. They always are searching, trying to figure out how they need to get where they're going. Because visiting fans especially do not know how to get there. So there's a bottleneck created. A dead end is kind of a bad thing. But I'm curious to see what it looks like in finality whenever they do it. Because I foresee them doing this really well. But I'm a huge fan of the IPF. Believe it or not, the original group, I helped install all the video equipment and the desk and everything, put those together in the IPF back in 2004. That was my first year back from the military. And, the year after Eli, I was at that game where Memphis jumped up and popped us in the mouth a little bit. So I do recognize that. But hey, let's take a look at this real quick. We got Manning Center renderings and all that. So yeah, this is what it will look like. You sit there and you go through here. I love all the white. I don't know if they're going to decorate it exactly like that. The weight room looks huge. It looks more taller than it does now. I like the lounge areas and the team areas with desk and all that where you can take notes. The training areas with the pools. We had a cool training area back whenever the IPF was built. That was one of the things. There's the lockers and everything, coach's office, and that's really what it would look like. And heck, I would be excited to play in there and see that. If you came on a visit, you would be able to see that and come in as like, okay, this is a plus thing. And then you got the rest of the campus, which actually just recruits itself. It just recruits itself. Put that on silent real quick because that might be about to ring. But I am very excited about that. People need to contribute to this. They need to boost up the Manning Center, and then whenever they get asked you for the East Side, West Side, whatever project they do, you need to have that available as well. Because they're doing good work, and this is actually necessary. This is a chance for Ole Miss to move forward and move towards the front of the line in the SEC whenever they've lived really since the 50s and 60s at the bottom part of the league, especially facilities-wise. I mean, there was a stretch between 1970 and 1995 where nothing was done. Not a thing. It just watched Ole Miss fall behind and behind and behind, and nothing was done. And this was because they had Jackson. Okay, we're going to play our big games down there and get all the gates for that. So we don't necessarily need to worry about Oxford. And as that, over the next 20 years, the 70s and 80s, as that wound to a close, you just saw how big of a hole you had in Oxford. And I would imagine similarly, they went through the same thing in Starkville. This isn't necessarily an Ole Miss thing. This was a Jackson thing, a special circumstance thing, because both schools played their big games in Jackson, in that stadium. The double headers they used to play in Memorial Stadium were fantastic. There's many times that State would play in the afternoon, Ole Miss would play at night, or vice versa, and it was really, really cool. But it allowed the on-campus facilities to fall behind. And that would be Scott Field, that'd be Vaught Hemingway Stadium, either one of them. And this one would bring the outskirts facilities into the modern realm. It really will. We've reached a time on Twitter and Facebook where everything is performative. Everything. Nothing is real anymore. There's no such thing as a real person. There's only what they want you to see, which is the way it's always been, but on social media it's at the extreme. There's opinions that have to be had, and you have to have them, or you will look bad, they'll turn on you, and so people have that even if they don't necessarily believe that. There's no such thing as real. It's all performative now. And coming in, the beautification of that Manning Center is going to be one of those things that leaves an unbelievable first impression and will be the performative nature of the school. The real stuff, the campus and all that, we've had that for 30, 40 years. It's like I said, if you don't want to come to Ole Miss, don't visit. Well, now you have the stuff that's going to leave the sparkle. The things that's going to jump out and get you. The things that's going to separate you. You already have the people. You already have the campus. It's all walkable. It's all the pluses there that they, let's be real, accidentally put together. But it's there. Now you have the sparkle to go with that. And the ability to tell a recruit, it's like, hey, you got this great campus over here that you can walk to, you can have a good time, do whatever you need to do. It's beautiful. Everybody loves it here. Now you can come back to this facility and be completely state-of-the-art. Stuff that's at LSU and Alabama and Clemson now, stuff we have, stuff we do. You can get that here. And understanding that will boost the program. Now, there was no real work done with facilities in the 70s, 80s, and early 90s. Weren't really good in the 70s, 80s, early 90s. First expansion happened, I think, in 95. We immediately went to 7 straight bowl games. South End Zone got completed in, I think, 2002. Ole Miss went to the Cotton Bowl, January Bowl. And then if they built and built, the IPF got built. All these facilities went together. 2014, Ole Miss was in the playoff rankings. Back-to-back access bowls. It's all relative. It's important. It's not just a Jimmy and Joe's argument necessarily, but it's also an way that you see yourself, look good, feel good type argument. Your program, you can be proud of it because this is the face of this program. Now, whenever you look down, even right now, at the facilities, the way it looks, if you take a drone shot just straight down, you got the football field, you got the Manning Center, you got the practice field, and it's all right there. It looks cool. It's a nice front door. It might have been the one thing that Ross Bjork got right in his time here. So, understand that. It's going to be a big thing, and this is a major step of getting us where we want to be. And I'm personally pretty excited about it as an M Club member and all that stuff. So, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to put a bow on Tulane pregame, and we are going to talk about uniforms for Saturday, for tomorrow. So, just a second. Do this. And do that. Hey, just stick around. We'll be right back with all that. Appreciate it. All right, welcome back to the POMcast. I'm your host, Stephen Willis, and we're going to put a little bit of a bow. Hayes in the barn for Tulane. Everybody's talking about, trap games and everything. We talked about that as well. Now we're going to do a little bit of real talk about what's going on. Ole Miss has better players than Tulane. They just do. If Ole Miss plays like it can play, Ole Miss will win the game. Ole Miss will get in trouble if they turn the ball over and do not play clean offensively. If the defense has a struggle day. Things like that, because this is a good offensive team. They put 35 points up on Oklahoma and Norman, and they put 69 points up on Morgan State. Michael Pratt is a really good quarterback. He was a freshman last year. He's a sophomore. He's developing. And you will see him make some plays. They're like, hey, Tulane's got something here. And that is okay. Everything is good. They are good enough to jump up and get you if you are not at your best. That's what you need to know about Tulane. The flip side of that is they talk about that Oklahoma game, that Oklahoma won 40-35. At halftime, the score was 37-14, which means that game was over before halftime. Now, Tulane made it interesting, had the ball, and did not convert a fourth down with about 3 minutes left to go in the game. But that's the real. Did Oklahoma take their foot off the gas? Maybe. But it's a situation that Ole Miss needs to learn from that. Ole Miss needs to handle business Saturday. This is a part of growth. Handling business, beating teams you're supposed to beat, no matter if they're good or not, because Tulane's good. And over the history of this program, there's been Memphis in 2003. There's been Memphis in 2015. Games like that have left a scar on fans. This is not necessarily a situation like that. Both of those games were at Memphis. Those were both road games. But this is not quite like that. This is a good team. They're going to come in fired up. I love their uniform, them bringing back Greeny and all that. Their attempted troll on Ole Miss, good for them. And, my question would be, honestly, looking at that sticker, is how many more years would it take Mississippi State to have more or just the same number of SEC conference championships as Tulane? I am curious about that. How many years that would take? Because, they won their last one in like 1941. So we're at about 70 years right now, 80 years right now, since they've won their last one. I don't know. Curious about it. But the real is, if Ole Miss takes care of business and plays like they are expected to play, Ole Miss should win this game, no problem. If Ole Miss plays sloppy, turns the ball over and gets stupid penalties, offensively and defensively, I imagine Tulane's going to take a couple of deep shots because of the number of PIs. Whether they were or weren't PIs is irrelevant. They got called, so they were PIs. Is this refereeing crew going to call it the same way? It's worth a shot. If it wasn't for those PIs, Ole Miss might have only given up 3 points or 7 points to Austin Peay. It's relevant. I'm assuming Jake Springer will be back this week. This is a week where everybody wants to get ready. This is like the last preseason game. And they're waiting for Alabama. So I don't think people are going to sit out if they can play. So I expect Jake Springer to be back. I expect Orlando Omana to be back. I expect Ben Brown to be out there. Again, Matt Corral, avoid disaster games. That's important. Avoid disaster games. And go out there, play clean. Just play clean. Do not turn the ball over. Do not get silly penalties, and be yourself, and your offense is going to be enough to win this game. Period. It's a great offense. It's probably the top system in college football right now. Enjoy it. Ole Miss fans, I am dead serious. Enjoy watching this offense play for however long it lasts. Nothing lasts forever. Enjoy it while it's here. It's the same thing I told you whenever the team was ranked number one. Being ranked number one is a cool feeling. And early in the season, yeah, sure, it matters where you are at the end of the year, not the beginning of the year. But enjoy it, because it doesn't come around very often. And everybody trying to bring you down and make you less excited with excuses and reasons why this shouldn't matter just doesn't make any sense. Have fun. Do what you have to do to have fun. And everything will work itself out. It's going to be the way it's going to be. Just have fun doing it. It doesn't matter. And that's one of the cultures and proponents of this football coaching staff. Is one of the parts of the culture is having fun. Number 2 is competition. And 3 is a pro mindset. And a pro mindset means basically be where you're supposed to be and do what you're supposed to do and give your best effort when doing it. That's all that pro mindset means. That means I need to be able to count on you to do your job. And by do your job, I mean showing up for team meetings, showing up for position group meetings, watching film with everybody and participating. Things like that is the pro mindset stuff. And then you go out to the practice field 100%. That's all that is. But it's an important part of football, and it's an important part of team building. Back whenever I was at Ole Miss, rule number 1 was protect the team. I'm sure that rule is still floating around, but it's not one of the big rules, first things that are mentioned. Everybody remembers that one. They remember Monday's about the truth. I bet Monday's still about the truth. This is all Pete Carroll stuff, by the way. This is where this got from. And if you look at Lane Kiffin's coaching mantra, 85% of what he does is Pete Carroll. What he learned at SC. And then 15% is Nick Saban. The way he handles press conferences and the media, Nick Saban. I bet when you look at recruiting, a lot of that is Nick Saban as well. But the general team building and team organization, that's Pete Carroll. That's absolutely Pete Carroll. They're doing all the same stuff that I was doing way back when I was working for Orgeron at Ole Miss. So understand that, have a good time. I imagine it's a lot of fun in there. I generally do. And I imagine they have fun and they have an excellent relationship, and it projects that this is a good place to be. And that's, like I said before, with everything being performative and everything being expected, you want images of people having good times around what you're doing, because you need that. It's the first impression now. Used to, whenever you went on a visit, the first impression would have been when they got there. How does it look? Look around. The first impression now is the social media before you get on your visit. You have to overcome that first impression potentially to get them on campus for a visit. So everything has to look very appealing even before they agree to come. Recruiting has definitely changed in the last 15 years. Absolutely. Without a doubt. Also, before we get out of here for the weekend, I do want to tell you about the uniforms that we will be wearing. We are going to make a little history and have a uniform that Ole Miss has never worn. The powder blue lids, the red jerseys, and white pants. Also, I think those things are, maybe they're sleeves for the arm, maybe they're for the leg, I don't know. But they'll be used as well. But below the waist, it's like icy white. It has a potential to look quite cool. Honestly, with our uniforms, there's not really a way to go wrong. You can do whatever you want to. A lot of people want gray pants. This looks fine. This looks good. Just win the game and have fun doing it. And I'm looking forward to seeing that run around on the field Saturday night. Absolutely. All right, I think that's going to be the end. This will take us up to kickoff. We're not going to have a preview show tomorrow. Tonight, Biscuits and SEC are going to put out their SEC Week 3 preview, so that'll be available about 6. I'm still trying to run down Isaac Gross. It's kind of a pain. We had a technological glitch on Wednesday. Made me absolutely infuriated trying to get that fixed. If we don't have him, there will be no Rebel Rewind Sunday. If we do, there will be a Rebel Rewind. So we'll see what happens there. So I hope everything works out, but you have that going. There's no game day beat writer preview. Tulane just has like 2 guys. It's like the Fear the Wave blog and the Rivals reporter. And, whatever. It is what it is. We couldn't get them to do the preseason stuff. We couldn't get them to do this game either. But that's not going to be a problem necessarily for the rest of the year. And we're going to have, if Ole Miss takes care of business Saturday, an extended preview for Alabama with the Tide Talk podcast guys, Stacy Blackwood and Jake Thomas. That could be 30 minutes to an hour just talking about the game, going back and forth. What are some things that we are looking for? Stuff like that. And, of course, right now, Talking Ball with Bill Flowers is live. It really gets in the weeds. We talk a little football. It is like 300 level football on that podcast. If that's something that you would be interested in, definitely tune into that. Bill did a fantastic job. He'll be back next Thursday as well to break down the Tulane game, and we'll start talking about Alabama as well. So I'm pretty excited about that. But hope everybody had a good day. Everybody have a safe weekend. I will see you Sunday for the review show. And until then, of course, hotty toddy.